Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Kim the Introvert, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my experience as a black girl in corporate. Let's get into it. So just a little bit about my background in corporate. I worked for a few years in more of a medical administration type of office, or at least the department I worked in was more of a medical administration, and it was in an office setting. The demographic of the office was the median age was about 40s, and of course we had people who were younger than that and we had people who were older than that. We had about 40 to 50 people on staff, and it grew from there in the later years that I was with the company, but for a while it stayed at about 40 to 50 people, and then again it exploded towards the end of my time with the company. And of that demographic, there was one black person, one Latina person, two Asians, two Persians, and everyone else was white. And I was the one black person who worked for the company. So my overall experience with working in corporate as a black girl, as the only black girl, was positive. It wasn't super traumatizing to the point where I feel like I will never do it again or that I need to go to therapy for it, but I definitely saw some things that could be improved, and it was discussed with the HR department of the company. I did have to learn what I can and can't talk about. I learned topics to avoid. I learned that there was definitely some cultural difference in the way that we discussed things or expressed ourselves. The most important thing I learned is how to navigate the corporate landscape and essentially play the corporate game. Because if you have any experience with being in corporate, you know that there is a game to play. It's not discussed, it's something you have to experience and kind of just learn on the fly. So let me explain the corporate game, or at least some aspects of it, because I'm not exactly an expert, but these are things that I picked up along the way. So number one, mind your business. Okay, don't get too involved with any of the drama that's going on. Make sure that if you do have any personal opinions about anything, keep them to yourself. You don't need to broadcast them to everyone else. Your coworkers are not your friends. Of course, be cordial with them and be respectful and make sure that you all get along so that you can get the job done. But you don't need to be buddy-buddy with anyone. If you click with someone, that's fantastic. Of course, that's totally fine. But your coworkers are not there to be your friends. They're not there to be your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your buddy. They're not there to be part of your social life. You just work together. It's business. You gotta make sure you remember that. It doesn't matter how skilled you are, how amazing you are. If management or the powers that be like someone else in your department better than you, they're going to be the person who's going to get all of the benefits that you probably deserve. So remember that. Remember that it's not about you being the best. It's literally who you know. And that's so true. It's something you hear all the time. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It really is. In corporate, it really is who you know. There are some very lazy people, not just lazy, but very lazy and unskilled people who are flying by the seat of their pants and making a lot of money and in higher positions, and they aren't qualified to be there, and it's literally because someone likes them. They're more likable. That's part of the game. There usually is a boys club in corporate, and that's just how it's been for a very long time. Typically men are the ones in power and they tend to gravitate towards other men, so it will feel like you're being, if you're a woman or not a man, it will feel like you are being othered, or you feel like you're missing out on opportunities, or you're hearing about luncheons and social things, and you're hearing about things in work later after the boys hear about it or know about it, and you'll realize, oh, it's because I'm not part of the boys club. So remember that. Also, being part of the corporate game, it usually means you're wearing a mask the whole time, and I don't mean like an N95 mask. I literally mean you're wearing a facade, a version of yourself. And everyone does this, that's normal. You wear a version of yourself at work, but in corporate, you're definitely wearing a different version of yourself, or some veil or facade that you present to people at work that person usually is more professional. They come off as unbothered. They go along to get along. They don't really have any opinions. Everything is about getting the job done, and you don't show any of your personal emotions. And again, this is what you do at work in general, but in corporate, this is turned up to like 27. It's cranked to the highest level. You put on this facade and you show this fake version of yourself, and that's literally part of the corporate game. Showing too much personality can be detrimental to your job. It's best just to put on this facade to get through the game of corporate. I'm gonna go ahead and go into my pros and cons, but I'm just gonna start with the cons first. My first con is I hate the whole not being direct thing. I don't like that you can't just come out and say something. You have to use all these flowery words and dance around and beat around the bush and put sugar on top of it and not just say what needs to be said. And I'm a very direct person. I prefer to say what needs to be said. Now, I'm not saying being direct is an excuse for being rude, because it's not. I'm not saying I'm rude, because that's a whole other thing. People who say
I'm real, people don't like me because I keep it real.
No, they don't like you because you're rude. You can say things that you mean to say. You can say what you want to say, but there's a way to say it where it's direct, but it's not rude. It still takes people's emotions and feelings and their mental health into account before you just say whatever you want to say. You're not being reckless with it. But when it comes to corporate, you can't just say what you need to say. What I mean by that is, let's say that you're doing a team project and something happens and someone isn't pulling their weight, and it causes the team to either fail or make a mistake. When that happens, you can't say, well, so-and-so over here is the reason why this didn't happen. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. You can't be direct, because that's seen as, oh, you're not a team player, you're a tattletale, you're a rat. Like, you can't say things like that. That's rude. Like, it really is viewed that way. You have to come up with some flowery reason as to why the team didn't meet the goal for this project. And it's just so annoying that you can't just be direct and tell the truth. So annoying. And it's the same thing if someone isn't doing their job correctly. I've been in the admin space, and I've been on an admin team, and cleaning up behind someone else is very annoying. So it gets to a point where you're tired of it and you want to fix the situation, but it's not exactly your place to be the one to fix that situation. You have to go to management, let them know what's going on so that they can speak to the person. But you have to be careful with your words, because again, you don't want to be viewed as a tattletale or someone who complains. It's ridiculous, and I hate the whole you can't be direct, unwritten rule thing. I find that ridiculous, but it's part of the corporate world. And to piggyback off of that, my other con is the whole chain of command. And what I mean by that is, obviously there are people put in place to take care of certain things. So you'll have, let's say you'll have the junior manager, the senior manager, and then you'll have the director, and then you'll have the CEO. So let's just say that hierarchy. If something is happening, okay, at the entry level, base level, and it's something serious, let's say it's sexual harassment, because that's very serious. If it's something that's like, let's just say it's the highest degree of sexual harassment, it's really, really bad, and it's been going on for a while, and it could be a scandal, and the victim has a case and they can take it to court. Instead of, in that process, instead of going directly to the highest point, and obviously you would, I'm just using as an example, you would actually go through HR, but you also want to get, okay, the CEO involved, especially if it's a smaller company. You want to get the highest level involved with the situation. Instead of going directly to the CEO, you have to go to the junior manager, and then the junior manager goes to the senior manager, and then the senior manager goes to the director, and then the director goes to the CEO. I hate that. That takes so long. I hate that so much. It takes so long. When something needs to happen or there's an issue that's happening, why does it have to take 5 to 7 business days for it to be not even resolved, for it to get to the level that it needs to get to? I hate that. But you have to respect the rules, because you can't overstep. You have to report to your direct manager or your direct supervisor, and then they take it from there. But it can take a long time depending on what that person has going on, because What if there's other problems going on that they're juggling and yours isn't the only one? Or what if it's not just the team is having issues or the department is having issues, but also that junior manager also has a huge project going up and they're trying to meet a deadline, or personally they just dealt with something that was traumatizing, or they're struggling with something, or they're not feeling well, they're sick, something like that. It just, the chain of command can really slow down some processes and it can be very frustrating. So that, I hate that. That's a con for me. The whole chain of command, having to go through this person to get to this person, to get to this person, to get to this person, to ultimately get to the person you wanted to get to. Annoying. I hate it. That's a con. I know that's how it works, because I know that in order to protect the CEO and the director and everyone under that, there needs to be someone at each level so that it's not all going to one person. I totally understand that, but it also has downfalls where it can slow down the process if something needs to be taken care of ASAP. That's all I'm saying. And another con, and this specifically goes to being a person of color, in my case a black woman, a black girl in corporate, is feeling othered. And sometimes it's on purpose, but a lot of the times it's not. It's literally because there is just a cultural difference. You didn't come from the same background, you didn't have the same upbringing, you didn't have the same experience in school. It's just that right there of having, just bringing two different worlds together under the same corporate roof. Some people will feel like they're just standing on the outside looking in, and a lot of times I did feel othered. I felt like I was an outsider, and it sucked, because at least I had the wisdom to know that they weren't doing it on purpose. They weren't purposefully trying to make me feel like I'm different. It's just that we came from two different worlds and we speak differently. But my English is different from your English, and the things that we grew up with, and it's just different. And so there was a lot of times there wasn't common ground. A lot of times we just didn't have a reason to carry on a conversation. And so a lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with being friends. I said that earlier, that, you know, your coworkers aren't your friends. It's not about being friends. It goes into, well, I can't relate to that person, so I don't think about them when it comes to this upcoming project. I don't think about them when it comes to this new position that is open in the company, even though they'd be perfect for it. I'm not thinking about them because I don't relate to them, so they're kind of over there. They're not doing it on purpose. It's just that we gravitate towards people that we relate to in all aspects. It could be school, work, church, the grocery store, whatever. When we're out and about in public with other people, we tend to just gravitate towards those who make us feel comfortable and remind us of where we came from or who we are. So I hated that part. I hated feeling like I was the only black girl. That part sucked. It really did. That part sucked a lot. I'm gonna share some stories in another video. Stay tuned. There are gonna be videos in the future about some things that happened as me experiencing corporate and being the only black girl in the entire office. That wraps up my major cons. So I'm gonna go into the pros, because I don't like to do pros and then do the bad stuff. So let's do pros. The first pro is how comfortable the job is. I know I just said that I felt othered and like an outsider, but what I mean by comfortable is I got to sit down behind a desk in a chair and just type on a computer all day long. I wasn't doing any heavy lifting. Sometimes I did. That was my fault. That's neither here nor there. Usually in corporate, you go to your desk or your cubicle or your office, you sit down and you just type behind a computer all day, or you go sit down somewhere else in a conference room and you have a meeting, or you go sit down somewhere else in a break room and you eat your lunch, or you go sit down somewhere else at a coffee shop and have a lunch meeting. Like you're not breaking a sweat. You're not using your hands except for to type and staple things and to sort papers. You're not using your strength to lift things or to bend down really low, or you're not doing a lot of physical activity. Most of it is mental and honestly your eyes, because you have to use that computer. But it's comfortable. If you want to invest in your clothing, let's say you want to buy a really nice pair of shoes, or you want to buy a really nice suit, or you want to buy that expensive shirt or sweater whatever, you can wear that to a corporate job because it's not going to get messed up unless you go on lunch, eat some ribs, and get barbecue sauce all over you. But other than that, it's a comfortable job. It's like physically comfortable. You don't have to be on your feet all day. Usually there's climate control. A lot of times there's snacks and food and water and coffee and tea. Like, it's a very comfortable environment, and so that's a huge pro. I came from working in the service industry and retail, and you have to be on your feet the whole time. I hated that. I have pancake flat feet and a bad back. It sucked. It sucked so bad. It definitely took its toll on me, and I was so happy when I finally got a desk job because I was so comfortable. It was so different. I really loved it, and I finally got to wear heels to work because I wanted to wear heels to work, but I couldn't because I had to stand on my feet all the time at my other jobs. But now I could really dress up and look nice and be comfortable at work and still feel productive. So that's a huge pro for me. My next pro is compensation, okay? I've looked into several different industries and kind of familiarized myself with what compensation is. And I, of course, am the most familiar with retail and the service industry, like the food service industry. And I have to say, corporate definitely compensates better than both of those. There are some service industry jobs, specifically food service, if you work in a really good restaurant as a waitress or a hostess, or even sometimes as a busser, those tips can get way up there and you can make a lot of money. But usually they don't have the full benefits package. So I'm talking about medical care, dental, vision, 401k, life insurance, PTO, mental health days, sick days. Sometimes you'll have expense accounts. I know for my job, the way PTO worked was you accrued time. So every paycheck I would get, and depending on how long you've been with the company, but at the time that I was with the company, every paycheck I accrued 6 hours. So I had like 200 something vacation hours, okay? So, and it wasn't like, oh, you just get 2 weeks. They didn't play that. They didn't play the whole 2 weeks thing. A lot of companies do. I think that's so antiquated to only give people 2 weeks out of the entire year that they can take off. That is crazy to me. Remember, your job is just a job. You are more than your job. I know it's a side note, but I know that millennials and Generation Z and hopefully Alpha will get that too. I know we get that, but Gen X and especially the boomer generation, they don't seem to understand that your job is just a job. It is just a way for you to make money. It shouldn't be your whole life. And a lot of people, unfortunately, made it all the way to retirement and realized, oh my God, I gave up all that time to my job and I missed out on raising my children. I missed out on going on vacations. I missed out on so many memories. I missed out on my life. It just passed by me and I gave it to someone else and made them richer. It's just a job. It's just something we have to do in order to survive in this society. It's not who you are. And some jobs, yes, I understand, like being a doctor, being someone of service, someone who gives back. I understand that's part of who you are, but it is not who you are. It does not define you. You are more than what you do to make money. Side note over. But yes, compensation is the best to me in corporate. So if you can get into corporate and you're looking to find a job that's comfortable and also pays well, corporate. Another pro, honestly, working in corporate looks good on your resume. It just does. If you have experience of administrative work, working in an office setting, it looks really good on your resume. People are automatically impressed by that. Also, because everything has to have an administrative side in order to function, you have to do admin work in order to have a business. And that's everything from an auto shop all the way to being an influencer, to being a bank. There has to be an administrative side. That has to happen in order for there to be a business. So it just looks good on your resume, and you can literally go into several different industries in the admin side because it's not just, it pertains to so many different things. It says that hey, I know how to operate a computer. I know how to operate machinery like a fax machine, a printer, a scanner, things like that. I know how to file. I know how to conduct myself within a professional environment. I know how to type memos. You know how to proofread. You know how to use Excel and spreadsheets, which is Excel, but you know how to use Microsoft Word or some type of processor, some type of word processor. It says you know how to do those things because a lot of people don't know how to do those things. Those things are very important. It means you know how to answer a phone. It means you know how to greet customers or guests. It means you know how to keep a work area tidy. It means you know how to open an office and close an office. It means you know how to order supplies. Sometimes it means you know how to do payroll. It says a lot. It says that you know how to do those things to keep a business running. So definitely looks good on your resume. I think one of my favorite things, my favorite pros, is I learned professionalism. I was lucky to be in an environment where they allowed me to learn and grow. I wasn't just thrown to the wolves and then expected to just fight for my life and figure it out. They definitely guided me. Some things I had to figure out on my own, but they definitely guided me and they were gracious with me and they realized that I just needed to grow and I needed room to grow. And I was able to learn professionalism, how to carry myself in certain situations, how to speak to people, what words to use, how to answer emails, what verbiage to use in an email, how to carry myself in certain environments, how to speak to guests and speak to my coworkers, because there's a difference, how to dress. Okay, that was one thing I really had to learn. I really had to learn how to dress in the environment because sometimes my skirts weren't long enough, sometimes my heels were too tall. You know, I never played the whole deep cut shirt thing. Low cut shirt, that was always a no-no for me. Always a no-no in the workplace. Do not show your cleavage. Like this, I think the most I would show is this right here. And this is pushing it for me. I was a turtleneck queen, okay? Turtlenecks and button-ups, and I would button it all the way up. Top button, okay? So professionalism was something I learned, and I carry myself in my everyday life differently because of that job. I move differently in the world because of that job. I just learned how to be a more put together and professional person, and I appreciate that so much. So now we're moving into the end of the video, but one thing I like to do when I do videos like this is I like to leave the audience or the viewers with something to chew on, some advice or something to take away from the video. So like I said, in the future, I will have videos about things that happened that weren't so comfortable in the workplace, but this video was just to give some basic advice and also to kind of give a little bit of information to someone who was curious about what's it like being basically the only Black person in an office environment. And yes, I just kind of touched on it just a little bit, and I'll go into more detail in the future. But my advice that I would like to leave is, number one, be confident. Okay, it can be a little uncomfortable or a little challenging to be confident in yourself when you're in an environment where you don't feel like you quite belong there. And it happens, unfortunately. But if you just remember that they hired you, you have something that they need and or want. Remember that, okay? You got skills, you have knowledge, you have culture. You can bring that to the environment. You have ideas. You can bring that to the environment. You have experience. You can bring that to the company. You got stuff to offer. So be confident in that. Remember that. They hired you. They picked you for a reason. So just remember that. Don't be arrogant. Don't be arrogant, but be confident. Be confident in your ideas. Be confident in yourself. Be confident in your skills. Just remember that they chose you, okay? Second thing, be professional. Be professional. That is such a big deal. Carry yourself in a way that they can't question your credibility. Dress nicely. If you wear makeup, make sure that it's tasteful. If you do your nails, make sure that your nails are tasteful. If you like to wear specific types of clothing, maybe don't wear them to the office. And I know that's annoying. It's because I had to learn too. You know, leave the deep cut shirts or dresses or the deep cut necklines to outside of the office. Leave the shorter skirts or dresses for outside the office. Leave the 6-inch heels for outside the office. Leave certain colors and or patterns for outside the office. Try to match the environment that you're in. That's one of the rules with corporate is you don't want to stick out too much. You want to stick out because of your work and what you've achieved at the company, not because of how you dress, okay, how you wear your hair, or the way you talk. You don't want to stick out too much. I know that's very frustrating because people of color have their own way that we talk and dress and carry ourselves when we're together, and it sucks to have the code switch so hard, but when you are the only one, you do have the code switch like hard. You gotta turn it on and like put duct tape on it so it doesn't get flipped down. So you just want to make sure that you are professional. You're professional in the way that you talk and speak to others. You're professional in the way that you send your emails. You're professional in the way that you carry out your projects and you complete your daily tasks. You are professional in the way that you dress, in the way that you interact with other people. You just want to make sure that you're always professional. And I want to go back to the way you look. So obviously you should be comfortable. You don't have to dress stuffy. You can still dress chic. You can still dress stylish. You don't have to wear boring black, gray, and brown all the time. You do not have to do that. But maybe not wear neon. Maybe don't do that, okay? Maybe don't wear your Gucci shoes with the Gucci print all over it. Maybe not do that. That's kind of tacky. It's actually kind of tacky to do that in the workplace, you know, to wear your Louis Vuitton shoes with the LVs all over it. It's kind of tacky, actually. Just a little bit. Save those for outside the office. It's just seen as a little tacky. But dress nicely. Always look clean. Make sure your clothes are pressed, steamed, ironed, whatever. Make sure they match. Make sure that you ain't ashy. Make sure that you're well groomed, because the better you look, the better you're treated. And that goes for everyone. And that goes for whether you're at work, at the mall, at the movie theater, at the nail salon, hair salon, bowling alley, wherever. The better you look, the better you are treated. It's the whole halo effect. It's a variation of the halo effect. You look at someone, they look good, they automatically become more credible to you. That is just how the human brain works. When someone looks put together, when they look nice, when they look attractive, automatically you feel like, oh, they know what's going on. Okay, oh, they know what they're talking about. Whatever the hell they say next, it's the truth. Whatever it is, they can say that bread is made from chickens' behinds. It's not, but you'll believe it because they look good. So make sure that you look good, you look nice, because people will treat you according to how you look. So just remember that. Be professional, look professional, and it'll really help you in the long run. Another tip, familiarize yourself with HR. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go visit them every day, you need to become friends with them. What I mean by that is, know where the HR department is. Is it located in the building that you actually work in? Because sometimes some businesses will have HR and it'll be a third party, and it'll be an HR located in another building across the city. Know who's in HR. Basically, is it just one person and they're just a point person? Is it a team of people? Does each individual person do something different within HR? Meaning one person does interpersonal, another person does payroll, another person does all of the hiring and onboarding, and another person does all of the manuals. Like, what does each person do if they do things individually? Learn people's names. Learn the people in HR's names. Learn their first and their last name, okay? It's important. You can't just say Pam in HR. What if there's 3 Pams? It happens. If a corporation is big enough, they're gonna have a larger HR. There's gonna be multiple people working in that HR. And there's a chance that there can be more than one person with the same first name. There can be more than one person with the same last name. So learn the first and last names so that you know who you need to reach out to for any type of reason, okay? So learn HR, make yourself familiar with them. Learn their phone number. If they have a separate extension, make sure you know that. Their email address, make sure you learn that. If they have a fax, Learn what that is. And you don't have to memorize it. You can put it in your phone, or you can just make sure that you know where you can go to find the information. So just familiarize yourself with HR, okay? That's important. That is important. It is to protect you so that you're not flailing and trying to figure out what to do or who to go to if something does happen and you need to take care of it. Just know who HR is. And it's kind of piggybacks off of the HR thing. You need to understand the company's inclusivity. Learn how they handle interpersonal things that deal with race, ethnicity, religion, creed, sex, gender, age, weight, and I think that's all of them. If I miss one, my bad. But you need to learn, because all of those things, what are now hashtags and buzzwords now, those are actually very important to know, because you need to know how they handle things when stuff like that happens. You need to know that they're actually aware that these things even exist, okay? If you're going through the handbook and you can't find anything, any statement, any type of helpline, any type of blurb that says anything about what to do about inclusivity, if something happens with sexual harassment, or what to do about ageism or ableism, even I forgot about that, or ableism, or because everyone always thinks sexual harassment and race, those are not the only two ones. It is everything that individually makes you up as a person. So you need to know what the company policy is behind that and who's in charge of that. Because if something happens to you or you witness something, you need to know who to go to either report it or to even just learn next steps. Because you need to know, okay, this happened, what we gonna do about it to rectify it, because this is not okay. So yeah, just make sure you look out for the whole inclusivity policy. And last but not least, this also stems off of HR and inclusivity. If you feel like you are being treated unfairly, unjustly, you're being othered, you're being bullied, you're being harassed, and it's not just you. If you've witnessed that this is happening to someone else, take notes. The knee-jerk reaction is to step up and say something right away. And of course, depending on how bad it is how you react, and is how quickly you need to react in that situation. Obviously, if someone literally throws a drink in your face and then calls you a slur, you need to react right then and there. Like, you need to say something right then and there. But if someone is being passive aggressive towards you and they're kind of saying some slick remarks that aren't exactly direct, kind of hint that they have some hostility towards you, or that they're being prejudiced towards you, note that. Make sure that you have a confidential place where you can either write things down, type it up, and if anything, keep it on yourself. Like if it's, let's say it's in your phone. If you are allowed to use your phone, put it in your phone and make sure it's locked. And make sure that you note what happened, what was said, who said it, who was around, what time was it, what day of the week was it, what was the date, what was the weather, shoot, where were you? Note everything that happened. The more detailed you are, the more likely that you are to be believed. And I know that sucks. It's like, I'm the victim, why aren't you believing me? But literally, you can't make up that, hey, it was Tuesday, it was sunny, it was 73 degrees, Robert had just finished eating his lunch, and he came back and punched back in, and then Tony over there decided that he wanted to say blah, 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 blah. That is very detailed, and why would you make any of that up? That's wild. So make sure that you notate as much detail as possible, because the more credible you will sound and the less they will be able to sweep that under the rug, because you have all the receipts, you have the details. Just make sure that you take all the notes, all of them. And this goes for if it's happening to you or you see it happen to someone else. And once you have enough notes, and I'm not going to give you a number as to, once you have 5 notes, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, once you feel like you have enough to present to whoever you're supposed to present to, whether that be HR or your supervisor, and you have the confidence to do it, because it's not always comfortable. Again, I'm gonna put it in another video, my experience, but once you feel confident and ready to go ahead and present what the heck has been going on, you do that, and you make sure you have all your notes and you practice in your head before you go in to meet with whoever, so that you're not stuttering or you're not too nervous, so that you know what you want to say, where you want to start, so that you can kind of predict what questions they may even ask. And if there is someone at your job who is going through the same thing and you have rapport, it's actually great to go in together, okay? If it's happening to both of you and you both feel like this is ridiculous, don't go in one at a time, because stuff will get twisted. There's drama in offices, there's drama in corporate, just like there is in high school. People will try to gaslight you, they will try to twist your words, they will try to put people against you because they don't care about what happened, they don't care about you, they just want to keep their job, they just want to be paid, they don't like you, all those reasons. So instead of going one at a time into the office, fight for you both. Okay, or however many people there are, there could be 20 people. Fight for all of you to have a meeting with whoever you need to have a meeting with to discuss what's been going on, because you all need to be in that room to hear what happened, because you don't want any he said, she said drama, because it can get misconstrued and it can blow up in your face. It can end so much worse than you even initially intended. You could be the victim and end up being the person that gets let go. You could be the victim and end up in the end being the person that's now the enemy. If it's just you, then you go in there by yourself. If you and another person or a group of people feel like something needs to be said, all of y'all need to go into that room together and work something out, so that ain't nobody messing around, okay? Just like in Hamilton, they said in the room where it happened, everybody needs to be in the room where it happened, so that there's no confusion and there's no mistakes and drama that erupts that is completely unnecessary and that was never even supposed to happen. So remember that. Always protect yourself. You are the most important person that you need to be thinking about at your job. You're there to make money, to take care of yourself. So make sure that you always protect yourself. You got to, because everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about the person next to them. They're not doing it. They're thinking about themselves. Okay? Remember that. You are the most important person to yourself at that job. No one cares about you more than you at your job. So just make sure that you protect yourself. All right? Okay, well, now we've come to the end of the video. I want to know if there's any questions or comments, or if you want to share your experience with being in corporate, please let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious, because again, I was the only one in the office, and it did eventually change towards the end of my time with the company, but for the first few years I was by myself. So just let me know, share your stories, and again, in the future I will have more videos about some things that happened, and if you're curious about those, stay tuned. They will be posted at a later date. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, night, morning, evening, Tuesday, whatever day of the week it is. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.